Yo, what's up, guys? It's Nick here with some raw day trading. Wrapping up the day today. It is now past 1 o'clock, 1:13, and we are going to review some video. So, let's get in it. Today I am sitting up $159 after fees, and before fees, like $1,140. Today, the bulk of the action kind of came, at least the bulk of the action that I traded kind of came in the first 2 hours of the market open. The second part of the day gave way to really wild moves on a couple of stocks into the afternoon. One was an IPO, the other was, I think, just a biotech name. And I am just a little bit groggy from being inside all day, but I'm going to try to make this a good review because I need it for myself. It was a decent day. There was one point where out of the open, nothing was really happening. A whole bunch. FOXX, I thought would go. Maybe. Ends up going, but not until later. RKDA was actually RKDA. So Tara was going crazy in the pre-market. Really, really wild name. Just with how much it moved. Came up from something crazy. It looks like it was around $5 or so yesterday. And $6 looks like. RKDA sold off into the open, but it was one of the top gainers of the morning, top gappers. And I think I missed it pretty hardcore here. But I had taken a trade on it earlier in the pre-market, and it was much trickier to exit for some reason. I don't have this on video, but I was hitting my hotkeys to exit on the level 2 on my DOS, and the execution wouldn't let me execute the sell until it was much lower. And because of that, I just don't use DOS anymore for executions. Maybe if I'm up a lot, I'll use it to like feather out by like portions. But my offsets are actually, I wrote that I have to check the offsets. Let's just do that right now. Just because this was the first thing that came into issue. It was annoying. I only lost $30 or so, but I was up a good amount at one point, and then I was trying to take out break even, and so my control Z, cancel and bail. I had a 5 cents under the bid. It didn't move the stock. The stock didn't move. It just wasn't executing. Maybe there was a problem with. Maybe I have to check it. That's why it's not working, because it's just something wrong with it. But nevertheless, I barely use them. So because I don't trade pre-market, really, I was just kind of testing the waters. And yeah, it was up in this kind of where was it? This area, I think, right here. Yeah, I think it was here, and then it just ends up selling off. But I didn't get caught in the sell-off. I just got filled at like 8:30 or so. Yeah, DOS hotkeys are freaking annoying sometimes, because like, I guess if you don't have them scripted right, sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. And I guess it's with anything, right? If it's not scripted right. But it's the inconsistency. I'd rather just not work at all. I could have got out through my ladder, but I forgot about that. So that's on me. Although there was really low volume on the name too, which is another issue that was going on. If you look at the volume here, it was really low, less than 200,000 shares of volume. Crazy how much these can move on no volume without, regulation. But let's get going. All right, so into the open. Don't really have any committed here. Anything committed. First, that kind of holds up and then goes. The right entry on this, I don't think it would have been here for the break of 5. It could have been, but I could have seen that just selling off too. So let me see if we can find the right entry on this RKDA, because it is important. I've not been taking these just because I don't have a good track record, and because I don't have a good track record, I don't take them. All right, so right there would be the entry. I'd be getting filled in the 70s. I'd be testing my entry right there, and I'd be mildly okay with holding here. Getting kind of sketched out there. Don't want it to totally flip, but it does have the opportunity to get up to mid-8s. And so it's going to come down, sort of test out again here. Okay, see, now that would be hard to get to hold on to, because oof. And so I theoretically would still be holding here. Wow, what a waste. And I'll be cutting right there as it slowed down, but that's probably the dip entry. So get filled into the 90s, lose almost $1 a share. What a waste. Yeah, that would have been crazy. So yeah, did not like that action. And I could kind of tell that the action was just a little bit funky today. And so I was kind of backed off, trading with 375 shares on a $10 stock. I guess it's kind of like half a position if you do it notationally, like how much money you're actually putting into the trade. Anyways, I go to GWAV. It's a continuation from yesterday. It's holding above the highs. It's looking like it could be having potential here. And I don't think I take it. At first, I'm still in the phase of not really seeing a clear winner here, and I don't think I take much if I take anything. And then what is this? PBM starts to build. It looks good on the 1 minute volume, although this candle is getting a little crunched in terms of there's just a lot of selling for the volume. It's not going anywhere. And then, so my goal today was to stay focused on the good names. I thought I did that to the best of my ability. I did miss some stuff, especially a little bit at the open, choosing the wrong name. But I thought I was did my best to stick with where the action was going. And so I had a consistent kind of cascade from one stock to another. Did a little bit better than most of the week. And the only thing I did was I stayed till at least around the computer till 1, and to where I was, available to trade if stocks that I felt comfortable trading were to move. And the other thing I did well today is I kept pushing. When the stock kept pushing. So I kept trying to trade it higher and higher until it gave relatively clear indicators that it might be finishing, and then I would back off. And then if it overcame those, then I would get back in. But this PBM, I wasn't super convinced on it for whatever reason. I didn't like how far below VWAP it was. I didn't like that it already tried to get higher earlier, and I did not trade it. I don't think. But I make a mistake with this next stock that pops up, and not only does it have less volume, it's also a higher price. I also put more share size on it, and it has it's popping right into the 200-day moving average. And I think my bet on this was that it's going to pull back a little bit, then immediately rocket higher into a hauled up, and then I'll take my profit. What ends up happening is it does pull back. It's this first pullback here, and so plus it's sold off immensely. It really it was holding above, but like it kind of undid the entire move. This pop is out of nowhere, really out of nowhere. Volume wise, it's out of nowhere. And this candle, I hold off on the first bit. And this whole exchange cost me at least $400, $500 at first. So I'm in here. I hit the bid. I buy the bid here, 513 with 2,400 shares, and immediately I'm having to cut. Immediately I'm cutting because I don't give it a chance. 1, 2, I feel like it's kind of high to be in that. Looking back, I kind of regretted my decision. If you look at it, I thought it could go test below 5, and that I think would have been a better entry. And I feel like in hindsight, that was just structurally with the candle and the range that it just had and how much volume it just had, I thought testing below 5 would have been a better position. It turns out decent position originally. If I would have held on to it and could have held through this, I don't know what this looks like. Yeah, that would have been a hard one. That would have been a hard sell. But I jumped back in immediately, and there's more selling to come, or at least that's what I'm feeling. I don't know why I'm feeling that. I think it was more just I jumped back in again, and I was like, that's a stupid move. And I lose another 2, or another decent stop out. Now I'm down 150. Now I'm really just deterred. But the spreads on this one are just. Wait a sec. No, I lose more than that. Because, yeah. I'm like, if it drops down to. If that were to drop again to 505, and I would have lost another, $300, I think I would have been really, really upset. But I went and I lost $300 or $250-ish again. And so that was 2 trades now within the same minute, down 220. And I'm like, this thing is still alive. I don't want to discount it, but I keep taking it at the highs, and I did not recognize that. I did not recognize like that, for example. I was hoping I would have got filled better, but immediately the ass drops below my entry price as I'm getting filled, basically. And my entry price is 3 cents above, and I hold on here for a second, and then I have to take that cut, and that's another $230. Yeah, thankfully I got filled at a decent price. at least on that exit. And thankfully, I cut kind of soonish. But in reality, it wasn't the best. So that was kind of my foray into this stock at first, and that was minus 500 in just a minute. And so now I'm down to 472, minus 472. It is now 9:45, and I'm just like, okay, well, those are some bad decisions. They were not productive for a variety of reasons. Spreads, inability to jump in and out as fast as I was jumping, and I didn't get any slippage, but the action was such that it did not bode well for kind of my understanding of the stock. And it was moving so quickly that one bad decision just kind of led into another bad decision where like I would cut low, buy back high, cut low, buy back high. And so that was like 3 losses back to back, $500. So after that, I kind of slowed down. I slowed down and I was like, this volume profile looks like crap. I'm going to go try a different way on this. And now that would have been a decent try of an entry. That would have been a decent entry. It would have worked. It looks sketchy though. And boy, whoever got that got paid. See, what I was thinking, what I was seeing is this is the 200-day right here, this purple line going across. This is the sellers, in here. And then I thought, it had a high potential of like really just continuing down and blowing down through floor 7. But it gets bought up. Let's watch that one more time. So this rewound here. And, it's also early in the morning at this point. I'm not having a great track record for the mornings. Whatever these algorithms are doing, however fast they're moving, they're really kind of making some unforced error. Like I'm falling into some unforced errors on these algos. Yeah, it was a quick second that it was below. All right. Okay, yeah. So the action really did slow down there and really did compress. As much as like I was saying that there was no way I could take a position down there. I think it was doable. Yeah, 502 would have been a reasonable entry. And then now that it's like this, yeah, I don't know if I'd be able to get out in the 40s or even the 30s here. Probably cutting in the high 20s would be, I don't know, getting out there would be nice. Yeah. I mean, hindsight would be to hold. Now it's above. And that kind of became like a range candle where the range is set by it because it's the highest volume. And then buying down there, what will we have had? Yeah, it just gets sold into up here. 200. All right, so not much liquidity down under 510. The price never really holds down there, and then by this time you're just like, do I want to get in at this high of a price at a resistance level? And the answer for me is no. And then I think I leave this alone from here. I kind of slow myself down. It ends up going, which all due respect for whoever was able to trade this successfully, y'all got cojones that I had until I spent $500 trading this already. Okay, so now this would be the point for the break over 50. Again, it's just like the bids just crumble pretty quickly on this. So it's like you get over 50, you're trying to get out in the 60s. Someone has a market or a limit order up there on the ask, and it's pushing the stock down. And so you got to mark it out. And when you're marketing out, you're hitting probably break even for a pretty significant amount of risk. And that's why I don't like this type of price action. Not to mention that there's a low probability it's going to like break through the 200, break through the 200 on the 1 minute, which is the other purple trend line, EMA, and then break through this freaking VWAP, and then break through this pivot and go and halt up at 640. I just think it's possible, but the likelihood of possibility is just much lower. It's really just much lower. And so I don't mind taking low probability stuff as long as I can get out at a reasonable price with a high likelihood at a reasonable price. Kind of being able to manage my risk in the event that I'm wrong. And a lot of times these stocks, you kind of have to position for them low. And if you miss that position, the risk kind of increases by like 30 cents. And then if you miss that, the highs are just tighter in terms of like being able to get out. But if you're ever wrong, and you mistime it by a little bit, it could be much, much, much worse for you than being wrong in any other location. And I think we're going to get an example of that right here. So I'm happy I did not trade it up through here. I'm happy I stopped trading it. I was just like, all right, I'm not gonna test my luck here. I'm not gonna test the market and see what it wants to do in this situation, because this is not the way. RKDA, I did get in and do something there. I forgot what. I'm still watching PFRX. It would have been nice to get filled down here, although it might have halted down if I would have gotten filled. That wouldn't have been fun, but the halt level is significantly far enough away where I don't think it would have halted down, although this is still a sketchy situation to trade. And then now you have the total break apart down $1 a share right there at that point, so which is 20% on the name. I'm going to leave that alone. Still low volume, only 500 shares of volume, which also means that the market makers will just inherently react to the orders that you put through more than if the volume was higher. And the overall kind of sentiment of the stock is definitely downward. You can tell from this 5 minute just stair-stepping down all pre-market. And then now, up here, the volume isn't even fantastic. The action's not fantastic. The 200 days right there. All those things, great reasons why I did not trade it. RKDA, I'm sure there was a nice little trade right here that I had. Looks like I got in late, but it had enough range to bail me out. Trading with pretty small size here. RKD was one of those that was I kind of sized for it the exact opposite of sizing for PRFX at first. I was like, RKDA is overhyped, and I thought PRFX was underhyped and that it had a lot of potential. I wasn't wrong necessarily, but the spreads ate me alive. I was prepared for the spreads on RKDA. I was not prepared for the spreads on PRFX. It was just wild. It was a wild mistake, and they're not crazy different in price, but they are crazy different in positioning on their chart and how popular they were. And also, I think their relative spread, like I think on RKDA, you know, it had a relatively tight spread here. It gives you 10 cents there occasionally. Yeah, but the spread's a little loose. I just wasn't expecting that on PRFX. Lesson learned: expect spreads. Expect and plan for loose spreads. Yeah, you just trade it a little different, have a little smaller size on that, especially if you're not familiar with the name and you haven't made any money on it, you don't know how it's moving. So that's kind of what I came into RKDA. I wouldn't have necessarily gone in with less size on PRFX, but I would have traded it much more cautiously, kind of how I was trading RKDA. I jumped in on PFRX tomorrow. Avoid the jump-ins. Avoid the fast jump-ins on unknown beaten down names. There are phases in the market where it gets super hot and those just will evaporate into a halt. I don't think we're in one of those right now. We're in a very tricky phase where it's very volatile, and it's very tricky just in terms of price action, that when it falls apart, it just falls apart. You'll see a lot of this with mighty stocks, how he kind of went through a little period of not making a lot of money or losing a lot of money. I don't trade anywhere close to as big as he does, but we do trade in similar kind of fashion, and although he trades much higher price stuff and he's much better at it than I am, but he lost a lot of money recently. I mean, not a lot, but he's been going through some tough trading, maybe I don't know, 30K of trading losses, kind of back to back to back to back. I think a lot of that is kind of he's geared up for these things to halt up where they normally would, with a look similar to that. But we're in a market where it's just not happening. There's not a lot of support on the exits. And it's just you got to attack and make up for that, by trading differently, by trading more cautiously, and by trading in areas that, I would say, I don't think this is necessarily a long-term correct move, but I would say that trading in areas where it's not opening up is kind of what I've gravitated to avoid this just in general. And so my stats tend to be a little bit different, where I don't do as well and I don't have the good win percentage, but I usually don't trade as big as they do, and I think I'm staying safer, but I actually might not even be. My stats might just be percentage-wise the same as theirs. Maybe even a little worse. They do trade a bunch more than I do, that whole group of people, and I try to keep my trades a little bit more precise, where they're just jumping at everything. But that's just me. Anyways, moving on. I don't know if I'm gonna. Okay, so GWAV does take a shot up out of here. A couple shots at the highs. RKDA does make new highs too, MTM this entire time is moving up, and I do my darndest to keep trading with it. And then GWAV was my real winner today. It was I made 700 on this. Probably most of my fees too. And goes up above 109, and I was able to keep trading well and keep my size this entire move up. It was kind of interesting because it only got up to like up 40%, but it was a continuation from yesterday. Yeah, I did good and kept my profits. And then the last thing I want to look at is I gave back a decent amount of money when I knew the odds had shifted right here. And so I'm up 500 on here, and then 478, 231 by this point. And so I was up 700 and dropped down to 600, 500, 400. And what really happened, we can watch. This candle kind of forms. And, these kind of like high volume standout candles do tend to signify the end of a move. And I think I was in like such a flow and up enough to where I was like, I'm gonna try to fade it. I'm gonna try to go long this kind of reversal signal to see if it wants to recover. But a couple of things also that I did not like about it, all that volume got pinched into a small candle, kind of doji-like looking thing. It popped above 75, then reversed, not a good sign. And it's now creeping lower. So all that together, creeping lower on the highest volume of the day. I got to see where my patience failed me here. Yeah, it's a third creep lower. I'm thinking this has got to flip, but no, it doesn't really flip. It kind of just continues to run. Like it'll turn when it turns, and then it'll just slowly chug upwards as the buyers kind of pour in. Very predictable, actually. So this is me trying to get away from it, I think. Well, maybe not. I'm like, okay, is it just going to flip up? See, one of the options was that in this situation right here, it could do a bear flag where it's like these two candles end up being, the two reds right here end up being like the things, the bear flag, it tests low. They're high volume, so it like gets shorts in, and then it just recovers. And so I think I take it on an uptick, trying to anticipate that rate. Oof. Actually would have been okay right there. Not great. Okay, so I take it right there. In with 7,200 shares. It's not moving. I cut it. But it's holding now. It's like baiting me back in, which it's successful at. It's now creeped lower 1, 2 times. Now it's going for the third creep lower. I don't know why I'm queued up. Tomorrow, no taking the creep lower. Okay, so now here, I take the bait. What happens? I don't cut it. I get delusional. I cut that. Okay. All right, so tomorrow I gotta wait 3 times before I try a downtrend, or I probably should just not even trade the downtrend. There was no signal here that it would turn around. Um, this right here would have been an interesting signal, but that volume was just so considerably red. I would have to see it start breaking up to 75, above like 71, 72 before me to get back in. So yeah, and then GWAV starts kind of rushing up, and I take a flyer on this one because I'm like, you know, it looks right. This is how this stock moves. I miss a little bit there. I don't trade this one well at all, I remember. At least not as well as I wanted to. So I don't get it for the break of the high. It had been doing it would do like a flip lower where it would just completely shake people out and then like can immediately go back to the highs. And that's what I was waiting for there. So I'm kind of just like sitting patiently waiting here still. And I think it does give it to me actually. Boom. I get filled high though, which is, I was probably just late to the game. And I'm like, all right, fuck, gotta get out now. And so at the first, like it wasn't like continuing lower, so I gave it a second, and I got out just above break even, and it actually held up and started to do stuff. I didn't think it would go. I thought they would just reverse off this level, but it did hold up uh, quite well through this area. It made some, trapped a couple people, popped up higher, trapped a couple people, whatever. And then that was the day. And then this is kind of probably my best size wise. No, actually, not even. Yeah, I probably could have even traded bigger, but I did pretty good here. At this point, I was up 920. I didn't really add much on after this. Actually, I take that back. Yeah, so maybe not my best. Could have anticipated more, but it was the same kind of signal here as the last candle. The difference was I was patient, and this started making a move. And so once it started creeping up to 1 again and totally reversing this candle, trend kind of reversing, there's still shorts there to get filled on because the liquidity can sometimes be sketchy. Because there was that red volume, I was more comfortable taking it with this much size. Yeah. I take an L there. It's fine. But it's holding. All the short sellers have to line up on the ask. And so, oh boy. I took another loss there, actually. But it's just a stop out. And this is kind of like my first win right there. It's not even that much. It's like half a penny. Yeah, it's hard because it was hesitating. I didn't want to stay in it. Yeah. Anyways, that was basically. This is a nice little move. Alright, so it looks like it's going to fail here. Starts turning around. Boom. Great fills. Great fills for the size. That's what I did love about this name. Really good fills. I think that's like one of the main things I look for is like fantastic fills. fantastic fills and moving in a predictable fashion. Because sometimes you have a predictable fashion, but they're not great fills. Sometimes they're not great fills, but sometimes it's great fills, but like really unpredictable. This had kind of best of both worlds, and just really lined up. And that tends to be 2 cents off the high there. Look for, I'm just writing this down. Great fills, predictable action, good spread, tight spread. All right, that's gonna do it for me. A little 40-minute video there for you guys. Hope you enjoyed, and I will catch you again tomorrow. Remember, day trading is risky. I do not recommend this to anybody. It is a very difficult thing to do, very inconsistent, especially when you're starting out. You just spend money. The markets change, and you have to adapt to them. You have to relearn, unlearn, relearn, unlearn, back and forth, until hopefully, eventually, there's some semblance of, mastery. But I don't even know if I got that yet. So I'm not a great person to follow in terms of knowing everything. This is just my record of my days and what I do for entertainment purposes only, just to give you a little insight on what goes on. I don't recommend day trading or any investment advice at all. If you do day trade in a simulator. Simulators, you don't lose money aside from what you pay for it. Maybe you even can find a free one, and you get an idea of what's going on. And then also you can start with really small share size to get an idea of slippage, an idea of timing, a little bit more accurate of an idea than just purely simulated. Like 1 to 5 shares on small price names, you should have an okay time. But again, don't trade with real money. Not on my advice. This is just for entertainment purposes only. Peace out, guys. Great talking to you. Thank you. Bye.